Shalom, giving all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachahakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations, as always, to the elect. And we're going to go into news, and as you can see here, the title of this article off of BBC News, World Bank halts new Uganda loans over anti-alphabet law. And this is another instance, all right, of, the beast, all right, making the nations to bow to their image, all right, which this is all going to lead to Armageddon, or a piece of what will lead to Armageddon, but it's all biblical prophecy. As before, the devil, forces his charagma. I saw a video where Joe Rogan, was going into the Greek, and he said charagma. Very interesting, that this word, is dominating. It's dominating, the narrative. And Esau no longer controls the narrative. This is why he's preparing, to pass all of these draconian laws, which is going to be centered around making you bow to his image, which ultimately it's the NWO, all right, the alphabet behavior, all right, as you can see that plus, because you think the L, the G, the B, the T, and the Q, you think that covered it all, but there's a plus there. All right, and what do you think that plus is for? All manner of iniquity. And if you don't bow to the image, all right, the scriptures say that you would be killed. Now, let's go to that scripture real quick in the book of Revelation, the 13th chapter. And these scriptures you've all saw before, all right, but as the scriptures say, we're going to speak, all right, and never give the Lord rest until the very end. Okay? So a lot of things are going to seem like we're beating a dead horse. And if you have a problem with it, you can, there's various other videos on the internet. This is Revelation, the 13th chapter, in the 11th verse. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. Okay, and this is basically America, Babylon the Great, which is at the forefront of this beast system that's dominated the planet Earth. All right, and it says he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and calls it the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And that goes back to the ancient Western Roman Empire. Okay, and we know that for a period, Western Rome fell, all right, but after a period of 1,000 years, there was a renaissance where ultimately they were able to reestablish their image into the earth, all right, and make people bow to it. And now they're at the, the completion process, all right, where things are spiraling out of control, but, all right, they're, using this democracy, because democracy is a snare, all right, because democracy, which democracy has always led to tyrannies, all right, and that's where it says he had two horns like a lamb. It's a democratic and republican system, which we know the elites are at the forefront of these parties, and these, figures that they put in front of you, they're all controlled, all right, but through these two opposing, sides, pressure from above, pressure from below, okay, the Hegelian dialect, they're able to not only give the people a false sense of freedom, choice, and everything else, but, all right, they're able to create narratives, create divisions, all right, in which out of that chaos, all right, they're able to bring forth an order, all right. So as you keep reading, it goes into the wonders that he would do, going into the industrial revolutions leading all the way up till now, where we're in the fourth industrial revolution, where they're planning on merging, man with machine, and people are all set up and ready for the okie doke. See? And people are deceived now. When you go verse 15, it says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, which the image of the beast is far deeper than a picture of Caesar Borgia. It's more of a culture. It's more of a way, a mindset, a way of governing, a way of ruling. Okay, and the scriptures describe this place as the Sodomite Sea. All right, sodomy is a big part of the image of the beast, confusion, sexual perversion, and it's all fulfilled in rebellion. Okay, because this is Babylon the Great. All right, we always tell you the first Babylon or Babel was started by who? Nimrod. Okay, which his name means rebellion. All right, Jeremiah describes America in prophecy, all right, as a land called, let's see if I can pull it up real quick. Marathiam, there you go. Jeremiah, the 50th chapter. Around the 20. Yep, the Lord's judgment upon Babylon. It says, go up against the land of Marathiam, even against it, and against the inhabitants of Pekod, waste and utterly destroy after them, saith the Lord, and do according to all that I have commanded thee. Now, when you look up this word Marathiam, which this is a code name for Babylon, and ironically, when you read this chapter, it's not speaking of the ancient Babel or the Neo-Babylonian Empire. It's speaking of Babylon the Great. And we know that because of the judgment that's prescribed to it, and the fact that both Judah and Ephraim would be in this particular Babylon. When you go back to the Neo-Babylonian Empire, it was only Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, and of course maybe a few scattered of the northern kingdom, but the northern kingdom had left the Assyrian Empire and came over here to the Americas. So this word for Marathiam, all right, Marathiam is what? Double rebellion. All right, and when you go to the root word, all right, mar, all right, and ultimately, when you go to the meaning of America, it's amargo, which means bitter, okay, bitter. Amargo, all right, is a Latin word that means what? Bitter, okay, and this land was named after one of the contemporaries of Christopher Columbus, all right, whose name is Amerigo Vespucci. And when you go to the meaning of Amerigo, okay, it's bitter. Okay, it's actually, as it says here, Portuguese, you see Amargo, it means bitter. And it goes back to the root word mar, all right, or myrrh, like the aromatic gum resin that comes from the tree myrrh. It means bitter. So Amargo, America means bitter. And when you go to the Latin, all right, it's amarum, but it's all the same word, mare. Like you have a nightmare, that word mare or myrrh or mar means bitterness. And it says here, of a harlot's end of wickedness, and the end of wickedness is going to be through America, Babylon the Great. So Jeremiah described America to a T, even by name. And what they're doing here, starting with America, the beast system, which has a grip over the planet Earth, is Revelation 13 and 15. And he had power to give life into the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And we always show you this word killed. Of course, we know killed could mean like you physically put to death. Okay? But when you go to the root word, apo, it says of a separation of any kind of separation from one thing to another, by which the union or fellowship of the two is destroyed. State of separation. So going back to this article, the World Bank says it's halting new loans to Uganda because the beast system all right, helps out a lot of these African nations. And you're seeing a lot of these African nations rebel and buck up, all right, because they're fed up. But at the same time, they are dependent economically to a degree on the beast system, all right? So this is where you're going to start to see Russia come into the picture and be a defense and a protector to these nations, because it's going to be an opportunity for for the Russia to add more nations and allies to the beast system that they're forming. All right. It says the World Bank says it's halting new loans to Uganda because a new GAY law contradicts its core values. See, the core values, all right, pretty much is speaking of the image of the beast, which is ultimately the NWO that we always talk about. All right, as they're trying to make a name for themselves. They're trying to establish their name in the earth. And when you go back to the Tower of Babel real quick, so I ain't gonna make this too long, but when you deal with the Tower of Babel, what were they trying to do? Okay, boom, Genesis 11:4. And they said, go, let us build a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven. And they're now doing this through their technology, bringing all people under this one world, this one way. And let us make a name, all right? Let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad. So they're trying to hurry up and put their imprint, their name, all right, upon all creation, even upon the people. That's why when you read Revelation, the 13th chapter, the charagma in that the MOTB is encapsulated and is associated with a name, because he's going to put his name on you, okay? And then you will have bowed to his image, paid homage, and you would have taken his token, his mark of basically consecration. And the word for name is shem, all right? A reputation, fame, glory, okay? The root word shawam, to put, to appoint, to make, and they're trying to appoint themselves. They're trying to set themselves. They're trying to ordain and establish and constitute themselves, okay, as the rulers and gods of this world. Okay, they're trying to, establish by law. It says give legal or constitutional form to an institution established by law. So, and we know what the laws are all going to lead to the people, what they're going to have to do. Okay, you're going to have to really take his name in a covenant marriage agreement, all right, by allowing him to ultimately pierce you. That's what this is all leading to. But before they force that, they're going to make you to bow to their image. And going back to this article, alphabet acts were already illegal in Uganda, but anyone, all right, now convicted faces life imprisonment under a new law which was enacted in May. And they did that to rebel against the beast, in a sense. All right, because the influence of the West in this beast system, all right, as we know in the book of Jeremiah 51 and 7, Babylon have been a golden cup, all right, in Yahweh's hand, that have made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. So yes, the Most High God, Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, controls the left hand. Okay? And he's used Babylon, which was ran by the biblical Edomites. He's used this nation, all right, to pollute all of the other different nations. Okay? And that wine is symbolic of all of those different philosophies. Okay, and many of the nations are drunk off of those philosophies. Many of our people are drunk off of those philosophies. That's why the scriptures say, all right, hear ye now that are drunken, but not with wine. Okay, and the nations are mad. All right. Let's go to the precept here. Habakkuk 2:15. Woe unto him that giveth his neighbor drink, and that putteth thy bottle unto him, and mayest make it him drunk also, that thou mayest look on their nakedness. And nakedness in the scriptures mean you're without the laws. You're without your natural way. All right. You're without your protection. You see, and this is the importance of the kingdom of heaven, because all of these different idols and philosophies will be crushed. All right. And the whole earth, all right, will be forced to follow after the law, statutes, and commandments. You see, but woe unto him that giveth his neighbor drink, that putteth thy bottle to him. The bottle is full of wine. You know, it's being presented unto you as if it's something to nourish you, right? And makest him drunken also, that thou mayest look on their nakedness. And that's what Babylon does, and it takes advantage, you see. And the power that they have, you know, to issue forth loans and to help these particular, you know, nations economically, all right, gives them the advantage. All right, then particular puppet leaders that are set up allow these perversions to be set up. But we're living in a time where there's a bucking up against you, Edomites. All right, verse 16 says, thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also, let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of the Lord's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. So you were used by the Most High, you know, to pollute, you know, to rape, rob, destroy, murder, pervert. You see, but now, all right, the Lord is turning his right hand on you, which is Yahweh Shai. All right. And through the spirit of Yahweh Shai, we are going to be at the forefront, all right, of, you know, ultimately condemning you through the words of Yahweh Shai. And that's going to speak into Yahweh Shai's return. You see, so it's your time, okay, to be called out. It's your time to be exposed. It's your time, all right, to be, you're the niggas now. All right, everybody's looking at you sideways. Okay. Revelation 14:8. Through this message, through this new song, and there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations to drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. You know, in Babylon, the beast system, they're forcing that image. Okay. And as you can see, Russia, you know, and China are combating that. All right. As well as some of these Hamite, you know, nations, which there's a lot of Jakes scattered amongst them as well. But she have made all nations to drink of the wine. All right. And of the wrath of her fornication. You know, Revelation 17:2, whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication. All right. Because money talks. You see, but we're living in a time where ultimately now a lot of these nations are trying to get around the dollar. All right. And they see the power of the West waning. They see the influence of Russia. All right. So they're growing balls and they're saying, to hell with you, to hell with your ways. You see, to hell with your garbage. Okay. Revelation 18:3. Okay. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. They've bought into the dollar. You see, but the scriptures talks about how those nations who ate the bread, which is the debt, who took on that dollar, who took on that democracy, who took on these different philosophies, who's allowed, you know, the wine to spill over into their nations, they're going to buck up. You see? So the kings of the earth have sold out to this whore. All right. But you know, there's a reckoning coming. A lot of these particular nations are waking up, and it's all via biblical prophecy. You see? And going back to this article, okay, it says here, the World Bank said it's going to halt the new loans. Now, see, this is the power that the elites of this world have, which are the biblical Edomites. See, in the kingdom, we're going to lend to many nations. Let's get that real quick. But right now, we're under a curse, okay? And ultimately, Esau is in his rulership, See, to where he has the power to lend. Okay, Deuteronomy 15:6. For the Lord, let's get it real quick. Deuteronomy 15:6. For the Lord thy God blesseth thee, and this is the blessings that's coming unto us, because the laws are going to be on this. So these blessings, are going to apply. The laws are going to be in our inward part. But see, right now Esau is in his blessing. See, and we're just at the bitter end of our curse. Deuteronomy 15:6. For the Lord thy God blesseth thee as he promised thee, and thou shalt lend unto many nations, but thou shalt not borrow, and thou shalt reign over many nations, but they shall not reign over thee. See? Let's look up this word lend. See, right now, Esau is in his power, so we don't have this power. But, see, in the kingdom of heaven, these nations are going to be forced to do righteousness. And if they go off, all right, loans, all right, and blessings will be withheld from them. See, here, under Esau's reign, all right, so let me lend. Yep, I bought. Okay, I bought, which would, that goes into that bread. All right, but take a pledge, to give for a pledge, to give for a debt. All right, but, and in the law, you can, practice usury. All right, which is charge interest on the heathen. But it's not going to be like in this kingdom, how Esau does it. Okay, because ultimately we're not going to have paper money, empty money. Okay, the whole earth is going to be given into the possession of the Israelites under Yahweh Shai. So we'll have the whole earth in our hands. But ultimately, we're going to interchange. We're going to, give out loans to these heathen. But right now, Esau is in that position of power. Okay, and let's go to the prophecy in Obadiah. Okay, Obadiah. That's crazy. You got to be a sodomite to receive a loan. You got to accept that, push that onto your children, because it's not just the alphabet, it's a plus there. The plus, it just again, it's that wine, it's that bottle. Obadiah, verse 7, all the men of thy confederacy, which a lot of these Hamite nations, a lot of these African nations, all right, have ultimately allowed some sort of beast influence in their countries, because economically the EU, which is the beast system, all right, in Babylon to a degree, helps them. See, and we're seeing an example of that right here. All right, the men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee, and they that eat thy bread, see, they that eat thy bread, all right, that's that debt, have laid a wound under thee, and there is none understanding in him. And ultimately, all of these countries are linking with Russia. They're going to link with Russia. A lot of these Hamite countries are going to, link with Russia. See, and we see that Russia, all right, is looking at how these countries from, the land of Ham, Africa, are turning on the beast system, turning on the West, and they're using that as an opportunity that we're going to come and fix you up and set you up. Well, Ethiopia is a great example of that. Okay, so going back to this article, because this is where the world is going, as they push, more and more of that, that wine, eventually these things are going to become law, right? These things are going to become law. All right. And it's going to come to a point where you're not going to have any choice. And this is where we as the Israelites are going to have to step out on great faith. You see, the just shall live by his faith. Okay. So the World Bank says it's halting new loans to Uganda because of new nasty law, all right, contradicts its core values. So what is the core values of the beast? It's all fulfilled in his image. Okay. Your image is what you see. What do we see being spread throughout the four corners of the earth? Complete confusion. All right. It says alphabet acts were already illegal in Uganda, But anyone now convicted faces life imprisonment. See that? Under a new law, which was enacted in May. And see, although we're not sovereign, we don't go out and, stone moles. But when you go into the Bible, okay, it's kind of like the same sentiment, but, the person is you got to go back to the spirit world. And all of these things are going to be used to come against what we're teaching, come against the Bible. Okay? It says, under a new law which was enacted in May, the World Bank said it was committed to helping all Ugandans, all right, without exception, to escape poverty, access vital services, and improve their lives. See, but ultimately, to receive these things, all right, you're going to have to bow to the image. To receive these things, you're going to have to what? Eventually, all right, these leaders are going to have to give their countries over, to the charagma. And this is where it's going. First, you bow to the image, all right, and then you receive their mark, all right. It says Uganda dismissed the move by the World Bank as unjust and hypocritical. All right. And what does the scripture say about the hypocrite? You will be called out in the latter days. Okay. Proverbs 11:9, a hypocrite with his mouth destroyeth his neighbor, but through the knowledge shall the just be delivered. So you Edomites, Job 20:5, that the triumphing of the wicked is short. You only had a little season to do this. And this is why all of this is going to lead to world war. The triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. Job 27:8. For what is the hope of a hypocrite, though he hath gained when God take away his soul? And that's what's going to happen to you Edomites, man. Ain't going to be no rising up of you Edomites again after that 1,000-year period. So you're a hypocrite. And this is where it's all leading to, pursuant to the Holy Scriptures, is war. This is all of these things are going to culminate in World War III. Because you devils have just polluted and lied. Ever since the Renaissance, you've established that image into the earth. The image of what? The ancient Roman Empire, which we know alphabet was a big part of that. The pedo was a big part of that. Revelation 20:7. And when the 1,000 years are expired, all right, which goes into the Dark Ages, the Byzantine Empire, all right, when the Western Roman Empire fell, all right, all you have to do is look up how long did the Byzantine Empire last. As a matter of fact, let's look it up. Boom. Now here it says, all right, the Byzantine Empire, also known as the Eastern Roman Empire, lasted over 1,100 years. All right. And as you can see here, there's the Byzantine Empire. All right. The Byzantine Empire, or the eastern half of the Roman Empire, after the Western Roman Empire fell. All right. Which survived for 1,000 years after the western half have crumbled into various feudal kingdoms, which eventually fell. All right, in 1453 to the Ottoman Turks, and ultimately, the bubonic and the bubonic plague, Black Death. You can look up the Black Death. Why was it called the Black Death? Because so-called black people were ruling. Okay, and we know the Renaissance came in around, all right, the 1400s, the Medici family, the Borgia family, which is where you get that painting of white Jesus, which really that goes back to Serapis Christus as well. All right. But from that point, after that 1,000 years, Satan, or the children of Satan, was loosed out of his prison, because for a period of 1,000 years, you were pushed into the caves. You were looked down upon. You were like a, ooga ooga. You were through. Nobody was fooling with you. All right. So-called black gods were worshipped, although they were going off. All right. Dark skin was in. But after that 1,000-year period, you were able to establish your image back into the earth. So Satan, or the children of Satan, the adversary, as it says in the book of 2 Thessalonians 2 and 12, he whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders, pseudo. He was able to spread all of those philosophies and establish his image back into the earth. And what did he do? He shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth. The spiritual demon Satan himself didn't do this. He's working and operating through a people on the earth, his children, Edomites. And he will go out to deceive the nations which are in the four corners of the earth. All right. And what would happen? Gog and Magog to gather them together for the battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. So ultimately, Gog and Magog, which is Russia, all you have to do is look up an ancient map. Gog and Magog is in a region of, all right, where Russia is today. All right, which that land originally belonged to Japhet. Okay, but the Edomites in their conquest and conquering, took over these lands. And we see nothing but Russia being talked about in the news in these times. Okay, and Russia is gathering many of these African nations that are fed up with the beast system and with the West. And all you have to do is just go and type in a Newt and look it up. And this is prophetic. This is Ezekiel, the 38th chapter. See? So, you can look these things up. We go into it in the news and prophecies. We don't have to go too deep into that. But let's go back to this article. All right. So, Uganda dismissed the move by the World Bank as unjust and hypocritical. All right. Shameful spewing. These nations are calling Babylon out. We always go into those scriptures. Habakkuk. All right. Shameful spewing. All right. They take up a proverb against its ambassador to the UN called the move super draconian. See that? They called the move super draconian, which goes back to what we were reading earlier. Okay? All right? Revelation 13 and 11, and I beheld a beast coming up out of the earth, having two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. All right, Drago goes back to Draco. Okay? You see here, it says what? Dragon, all right, or Dracon, which goes back to an Athenians, all right, Athens, Greece lawgiver by the name of Draco. All right, draconian, as they say to this day, all right, of laws on their application excessively harsh and severe. And ironically, that's where democracy goes back to, Athens, Greece. Okay? And and it goes back to Draco or draconian. See? All right, harsh laws. So right here, see, this is all prophecy being fulfilled. All right. And as you can see, the UN has its hands in that country. It says in a tweet, Ambassador Adonia Ayiber said it was time to rethink the World Bank's work methods and the broad decisions. The anti-alphabet law imposes a death penalty for so-called aggravated cases, which include having alphabet sex with someone below the age of 18 and where someone is infected with a lifelong disease. So it says here, there are many Middle Eastern countries who do not tolerate alphabet behavior. They actually hang and execute them, she said, according to Reuters agency. In the U.S., many states have passed laws that are either against or restrict activities of alphabet. So why pick Uganda? I don't know about that. All right, who is this talking? The World Bank's, I don't know who this is talking. The legislation has been condemned by Ugandan campaign groups, which have instituted court actions to annul the legislation on the grounds that it is discriminatory and violates the rights of alphabet people yada, yada, yada. But I just wanted to get to this. I got to roll out. Hopefully I'll edify on to the next. Shalom.